The air didn't move. No wind. No insects. Just silence, thick and unnatural, like the jungle was holding its breath. And then, beneath the stillness, I heard it. A whisper. Soft at first, then clearer. Not in any language I knew. And yet, it spoke my name. Not the name I use. The one I gave up as a child. The one no one alive should remember. I went to the Cordillera del Condor chasing silence. After the accident. After the hospital, the lawsuits, the sleepless nights where her face flickered behind my eyelids. I needed to vanish. Not just from people but from memory. From guilt. So I packed a rucksack, a satellite phone, and a journal I never opened, and flew to the edge of Ecuador, where the map blurs into green and the government warns travelers not to go. The locals called the forest Yana Yaku, black water. They said the trees remembered things, that the rivers carried voices from the other side. I dismissed it as superstition. I was a biologist, not a believer. I came to study fungal growth in isolated canopy systems, not ghosts. My camp was set in a clearing near a dried-up riverbed, surrounded by towering ceiba trees with roots like coiled serpents. At night, the jungle pulsed. Crickets, distant howls, the occasional rustle of something too large to be a rodent. But on the third night, everything changed. I woke to cold. Not the damp chill of the rainforest, but a dry, invasive cold. Like stepping into a tomb. My breath fogged. My fingers went numb. And then, from the edge of the tree-line, a sound. A whisper. Not in Spanish. Not in Quechua. It slithered through the air. Syllables that didn't belong to any human tongue, yet formed a shape I recognized. My name. Not Dr. Elias Carter. Not Eli. But Enrico. The name my mother used before she died. Before I changed it to sound more professional. More normal. A name buried so deep I'd almost forgotten it myself. I sat up, heart hammering. The flashlight beam cut through the dark, trembling in my grip. Nothing moved. No footprints. No broken branches. Just the trees watching. I told myself it was fatigue. Hallucination. The brain, starved of human contact, conjures voices. But when I lay back down, the whisper came again. Closer this time. Followed by a second voice. Then a third. Layered. Overlapping. Like a chorus of children singing in reverse. And they were all saying my name. The next day, I tried to rationalize it. I checked the satellite phone, no signal. The recorder in my pack had died, though the batteries were fresh. My water tasted faintly of copper, though the filter was clean. I told myself the jungle was playing tricks, that isolation had cracked something in my mind. But the signs kept coming. That evening, I found footprints circling my tent. Small, barefoot, child-sized, but no trails leading in or out. The soil was dry, untouched by rain, yet the impressions were deep, as if made by something heavy. I followed them until they vanished at the base of a banyan tree with roots forming a hollow shaped like a mouth. Inside the hollow I found a doll, crude, made of bark and vines with 2 black stones for eyes. Its mouth was stitched shut with what looked like human hair, and around its neck, a tiny leather cord held a tag carved with 3 letters, NR. I threw it into the fire, watched it burn. But by morning it was back, sitting just outside the tent flap, and scathed, its stitched mouth now slightly open. I started packing. I would leave at dawn. But when I tried to navigate back to the extraction point, the compass spun. The GPS was dead. The sun, when it rose, didn't feel warm. It cast long, distorted shadows that moved too slowly, like time itself was dragging. And at night, the whispers returned. Louder, clearer, no longer just my name. Now they were asking questions. Why did you leave us? Why did you forget? You promised you'd come back. I never made that promise. I never had siblings. I was an only child. But the voices, they sounded like children. My children? No, impossible. I'd never had kids. Yet in the silence between whispers, I began to remember things that never happened. A nursery painted in soft yellow, a lullaby hummed in a language I didn't know, a pair of small hands slipping into mine as we walked into the trees. And the worst part? I remembered loving them. On the 5th night, I stopped fighting sleep. I let it take me, hoping for unconsciousness, for escape. But instead, I dreamed. I stood in a village made of bone and black wood, surrounded by figures in woven cloaks. They chanted in that same guttural tongue, swaying around a fire where shadows danced too tall, too thin. In the center, a man knelt me, holding 3 small figures wrapped in leaves. Their faces were hidden, but I knew them. My children, my dead children. And then I remembered, not from this life, from another, a life I lived centuries ago, deep in this same jungle. I was a shaman, a guardian, but I broke the pact. I tried to leave, took my children with me. The forest didn't allow it, pulled them back, buried them in the roots. And me? I was cursed to return, again and again, always forgetting, always being lured back, always almost remembering. The shifted. I was awake, or thought I was. My tent was gone. I stood in the clearing, surrounded by small figures, silhouettes with hollow eyes and mouths sewn shut. They reached for me, not with malice, but with sorrow. And behind them, rising from the earth, was a tree, its trunk pulsing, its bark peeling back to reveal rows of teeth. The whispers became a roar. You left us. You forgot. Now you must stay. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My skin began to itch, then burn. I looked down. My fingers were darkening, hardening, turning to bark. Roots snaked up my legs, binding me to the soil. I screamed, but no sound came. My jaw locked. My eyes dried. My body became a pillar, fused with the earth. And still I was aware. I felt the rain, the sun, the passage of years. And every night, when a new traveler sets up camp too close, I try to warn them. I push my voice through the roots, through the soil, through the wind in the leaves. I whisper their name, because one day someone will hear it and remember everything, and the cycle will begin again. They found my camp 3 weeks later. The satellite phone, buried under leaves. The journal open to a single sentence. It's not hallucination. It's memory. The researchers assumed I'd fled, gone native, or been taken by animals. They never found my body. But sometimes, late at night, those who camp near the riverbed report strange things. A cold spot in the air. A whisper with no source. And if they listen closely, too closely, they might hear their own name, spoken in a voice that sounds like their mother's, their child's, or their own. And if they stay, if they don't run, they'll begin to dream of a village made of bone, of promises broken, of children waiting in the roots. Because the jungle doesn't forget, and it always collects what was taken. So if you ever walk into a place too quiet, too still, where the air feels watched, don't listen to the whispers. And whatever you do, don't answer when they call your name.